Welcome to FutureX. In today's episode, we have Satheesh Baskaran, the Vice President and Regional Head of ANC, and Vikas David, our Digital Health Advisor, to share their insights on Mentegram. Mentegram is a patient engagement platform that helps healthcare professionals in generating valuable information on the treatment journey. Let's hear from them.
Hi, Vikas. How are you?
Good to see you, Satheesh. How you been?
Good. Thanks for taking time to join this session, Vikas. Now, I just thought I'll start with a question at a broader level to understand what Mentegram is about. The Australian healthcare industry is evolving. And how do you think Mentegram as a digital health solution would enable the community, and who are the stakeholders that stand to benefit out of using such product?
Sure. See, Mentegram was designed to engage patients. And if you look at the different stages of that engagement, it's usually before, during, and post a treatment or a procedure. So what you would call as, an episode of care in an inpatient setting or in a community setting, it's basically during their treatment journey. Its primary reason is to measure the efficacy of that treatment or procedure. And generally in all healthcare services, you want your patients to remain engaged during that treatment because it leads to better outcomes. So this system works across all specialties. For example, in mental health, research shows that patients with strong engagement show a faster reduction in their symptoms and even 50% reduction in their relapse risk. So the key way of measuring these outcomes or health outcomes is by using patient-reported outcome measures and patient-reported experience measures. And for example, if you have a hip and knee surgery, you would want to measure pain and mobility before and after the treatment, right? So this is where Mentegram really plays its part.
Thanks, Vikas. It's good to know about how the product encompasses multiple areas and use cases. See, in the current digital health ecosystem, how does Mentegram fit in and at the same time differentiate itself as a patient engagement solution?
See, again, most countries have been collecting PROMs and PREMs, which is patient-reported outcomes, for a long time, right? But what Mentegram does is it tries to make it as easy as possible and reduce the amount of effort for both providers and for the clients involved. So, depending on the condition or context, for example, in mental health, again, we would do this by trying to engage patients with daily activities to get them into the habit of recording their, sleep, mood, daily journals. Because what you're trying to do is not just measure outcomes, but try and improve those outcomes. And for that, we need to get patients to engage with the system and improve that collection rate. So, things like custom reminders for these instruments also ensure that push notifications, for example, come up at a convenient time for the patient. So it's all about trying to make things simple. We differentiate ourselves because there's a very specialized PROMs and PREMs solution, and we want to make sure that the engagement rate goes up, and we have evidence of that.
Perfect. That's exactly what we need in a value-based healthcare environment in Australia. Thanks, Vikas. So just wondering, what's the technology that powers Mentegram? Do we leverage the modern architecture concepts, and what digital technologies are involved in this product?
Yeah, well, Mentegram is really got a whole mix of technologies to support the platform. So we have, native iOS and Android apps. We have React, Next.js, Angular, Node.js, and all of this is required to improve that experience, that patient experience with the system. And also because of all the different stakeholders involved, like, the funders getting their reporting and providers being involved. So this is why, this complex mix of technologies requires a company like Experion to provide those developers as needed to support this, because it's very hard for a single person or a single small group of in-house developers to support this kind of infrastructure and landscape. So, we have DevOps operations, security and penetration testing for a healthcare app, and obviously all these varieties of technology that we found an excellent partner with yourselves, Experion. The other challenge we had in Australia was integrating the solution with local EMRs and local systems that were being used. And Experion provided a very comprehensive data integration solution that we built specifically to integrate Mentegram with Microsoft Dynamics as well as Salesforce. That was an incredible module that could help us integrate Mentegram with the solutions that were already being used by customers.
Mentegram is a merit recipient in the Victoria State AI Awards and has qualified for the Nationals to be held later this month. The AI Awards is Australia's longest running and most prestigious awards program that recognizes excellence in Australian innovation across various sectors.